Sometimes, life is filled with so many signals of manipulation that we simply overlook them, give them no importance, and continue on our way. However, these small and barely noticeable signs can often have a deep impact on us. In many cases, the manipulations directed at us go unnoticed and hinder the progress we desire in life. But by paying attention and recognizing these signals, we can become more cautious. Today, I will talk to you about the most common manipulation signals. By identifying them correctly, you can be better prepared for how to respond to others. Remember, only you can decide how to live your life and who gets to influence you. This is one of the most important decisions that belongs solely to you. So let's begin. Do this or else this will happen. You've probably heard these words at some point from someone. A partner, a co-worker, or someone else you know. Phrases like this are one of the most common tools of manipulation that often lead to arguments and conflict in people's lives. If someone makes such a statement to you, you're already facing manipulation. Threats are not just a way to apply pressure. They are also meant to make you feel anxious or afraid. The person making the threat isn't giving you a choice. They are presenting it as an order and pressuring you into feeling like you have no other option but to obey. Moreover, threats are often the strongest weapon used by manipulators to achieve their own goals. For example, if someone wants you to do something and they approach you with such threats, their true intention is to manipulate you. This can lead you to lose your own will and simply do what they want. But there is no need to give in to this pressure. Remember, no one should make decisions for you. You are the main authority in your life, and no one has the right to distort your freedom of choice. These kinds of threats aim only to make you uncomfortable and lead you to make the wrong decisions. You must always be honest with yourself and make decisions that truly improve your life. Threats and pressure are among the simplest and most effective forms of manipulation, but you should not play into these games. Always remember, the power is within you, and every decision lies in your hands. Protecting yourself, avoiding manipulation, and acting only on your own will is your greatest right. Some people try to play the victim card with us. In these situations, they say things like, "If I don't do this, no one will help me." You've surely heard words like these. Sometimes people portray themselves as victims to gain the sympathy of others. They try to manipulate their situation to affect the emotions of those around them. The goal behind such behavior is simple: to exploit others' emotions and use them for personal gain. This isn't just a fact. It's a classic manipulation tactic. When faced with this kind of behavior, the other person is trying to make you think, "If I don't help them, they'll suffer and it will be my fault." This is often a trick designed to activate your conscience and keep you under emotional pressure. But here's what's important. No one should live their life in constant dependence on the help of others. The goal of playing the victim is to keep the other person under emotional pressure and control their actions. This can make you feel guilty and think you are obligated to support them in the way they expect. But you must recognize how manipulative this behavior really is. People often use this tactic unconsciously, but once you understand it, it becomes easier to identify and distance yourself from such behavior. Someone playing the victim is essentially asking you to take responsibility for their life. But your responsibility lies only with your own life and your own decisions. It is important to stand firm against such manipulative behavior. Protect your boundaries and not allow others to gain control over you through your emotions. Your feelings deserve respect, but at the same time, you should not allow others to place undue emotional pressure on you. No one has the right to exploit your emotional state to steer you toward their personal goals. We also hear phrases like this in manipulative behavior. "I'm only doing this for you." These kinds of statements are often used by someone trying to show how overly self-sacrificing they are. At first glance, such words may please you. It seems like someone is doing so much for your sake. But in reality, this so-called sacrifice is often just another form of manipulation. People who display excessive self-sacrifice usually expect something in return, and these expectations often turn into intense pressure on you. Sometimes when someone says, "I'm doing this just for you," it may seem like a kind gesture or an act of goodwill. But beneath this behavior lies an unspoken expectation of repayment. The moment that person starts demanding something from you, you may begin to feel pressured by their sacrifice. They want to make you feel grateful and indebted so that you'll do what they want. This kind of unexpected generosity first affects you emotionally. While sacrifice can seem like kindness and care, it can also serve a manipulative purpose. Through such behavior, people push others to act in line with their interests. Excessive sacrifice eventually makes the other person feel indebted, and this breaks the balance in relationships. Sometimes manipulation is hidden behind gifts, favors, or kind behavior. For example, someone might give you a nice gift. At first, it seems like a kind and generous gesture, but behind that gift might be the unspoken message: "I did something nice for you. Now you should do what I want." This type of manipulation often goes unnoticed, yet it is highly effective. As beautiful and meaningful as gifts and favors may be, they can also become subtle tools of manipulation. To prevent this kind of manipulation, you need to understand the intent behind the gift or favor. When someone does something nice for you, it's important to evaluate what they might want or expect in return. Those who go out of their way to be overly generous may try to make you feel emotionally indebted, but you should only act according to your own boundaries and comfort. Remember, every relationship and every act of kindness should be based on mutual respect and consent. This is for your own good. I'm not trying to explain anything to you. You'll often hear this kind of phrase in manipulative behavior. On the surface, it may sound neutral and calm, but in reality, it's a hidden form of manipulation. A person who says this is trying to twist your words and actions, presenting you in a false light. What's their goal? To separate you from your own truth and force you to see things from their perspective. This tactic is often used to make you seem like the one who has lost their mind. You try to explain something, but they say things like, "That's not how I see it." You're always so sensitive. It's as if you're misinterpreting reality. This is a classic example of psychological manipulation known as gaslighting. Over time, when someone is exposed to this behavior repeatedly, they begin to doubt their thoughts, feelings, and even memories. All of this serves one purpose: to weaken you and strengthen their control. But it's important to stop and reflect. If you know your intentions are pure, if your words and actions are aligned with your conscience, then how someone else presents you doesn't change the truth. Never allow someone who refuses to understand you to define who you are. Those who speak on your behalf by taking advantage of your silence are often trying to hide their own agendas. They misrepresent you in order to silence you, but your duty is to stay true to your values with patience and determination. How others see you, that's their problem. But how you see yourself, that's your source of power. Sometimes, situations arise where you're always the giver, and the other person is always the receiver. At first, you may not notice, because we often consider helping and understanding loved ones as something natural. But over time, you begin to realize that you are the only one getting tired in the relationship. Eventually, the expectation forms that you must always be available for them. Your support, your understanding, your attention all start to feel like obligations. Yet when your own needs come up, the response is either coldness or avoidance. As if asking for support is too much, as if only their feelings are valid, and yours are just seen as being overly sensitive. In such relationships, you may unknowingly begin to give up your own boundaries. You start to feel guilty for no reason, thinking, maybe I'm expecting too much. But the truth is, healthy and balanced relationships are built on mutual understanding. If you're the only one giving and receiving nothing in return, that's not love. That's exploitation. It's beautiful to make sacrifices for someone you truly care about. But if that sacrifice drains you from the inside, then that relationship is not empowering you. It's weakening you. Remember, you are not just a shadow meant to meet others' needs. And sometimes, you might hear something like, "I'm not sure you're doing the right thing," said in a calm, even caring tone. This sentence often hides subtle but powerful manipulation. The person isn't directly saying you're wrong. Instead, they're trying to make you doubt your own decisions. They want to shake your confidence and make you hesitant. At first, it may seem like simple advice, but over time you begin to struggle to trust your own judgment as you once did. They don't openly say, "Don't do it," but every comment carries a hidden message. You don't really know what you're doing. I know better. This is a clever tactic used to increase psychological control. The less confidence you have, the more control they gain, because you start making decisions, not based on your own will, but based on their approval. And in this way, free will gives way to fear and doubt. When faced with this kind of behavior, pause and ask yourself, is this a healthy exchange of ideas? Or are these seeds of doubt being planted to control me? Defending your thoughts is not ego. It's a form of self-awareness. Everyone can make mistakes, but that doesn't give anyone the right to take away your self-confidence. You can do it later. It's not important right now. This sentence often appears in manipulative behavior. It may sound simple and harmless at first, but in reality, it's a subtle tactic used to push your priorities and goals to the background. Time is the most valuable resource you have. When someone tries to control it, they're directly interfering with your life. This behavior unfolds slowly, almost imperceptibly. The other person downplays, delays, or distracts attention from what matters to you. Whatever is important to them, that's what you should be doing. But your plans and your dreams, they can wait, and that later never comes. Over time, you start living according to others' needs. You push your own goals and values aside, thinking there's still time, but no one will give that time back to you. This isn't just a loss of time. It's the gradual erasure of your identity. If you're not in control of your time, your life becomes someone else's script. Protecting your priorities is not selfish. It's self-respect. No one's wishes should outweigh your purpose. It's not important right now moment is a valuable piece stolen from your life. If you keep postponing what matters to you today, a day will come when you have neither the energy nor the motivation left. And then you'll ask, where did all the time go? The answer is simple. It disappeared in the moments when you chose what they thought was important over what you needed. Can't you just do a bit more? This may sound like motivation, but often it's a disguised form of pressure. People use this phrase to push you beyond your boundaries, not to empower you, but to shape you according to their needs. These kinds of people always expect more from you. What you give is never enough. No matter how hard you try, it feels like it's never sufficient. Your sacrifice, your exhaustion, your time, none of it is ever enough for them, because they care only about the outcome. And it's not your outcome, it's theirs. They act like they trust you. You can do it. You're smart, you're different. But hidden behind these words is another message. You need to do what I want. This is control masked as praise. Over time, saying no becomes harder. They make you feel like rejecting them means you're weak. But protecting yourself is not weakness. It's a sign of strength. Your strength doesn't only appear when you fulfill others' demands, it also shows when you can set boundaries and say, "This is enough." Your worth is not defined by how well you complete someone else's tasks. Your worth is defined by your loyalty to yourself and your ability to protect your boundaries. You're not responsible for everything. You're not meant to carry every burden. To protect yourself is to love yourself. One of the most common forms of manipulative behavior is praise. "You always do your best." Yeah. At first glance, this sentence sounds nice. It may even make you happy, because every human craves recognition. But some people turn that need into a tool of manipulation. They use praise to steer you in the direction of their desires. They try to pull you away from your own decisions and push you toward choosing their path instead. Sometimes this kind of praise is so sweet, so charming that it becomes hard to recognize. You feel valued, but the moment you say no, that praise vanishes into thin air. Because their compliments weren't about who you are. They were about how useful you were to them. This isn't genuine appreciation. It's a way to make you feel emotionally indebted. With praise, they may push you to work harder, give more, question less. Suddenly, you're an ideal image, and you feel like you must stay loyal to that image. After all, you always do your best, right? With this phrase, they silence you. In moments like this, stop and ask yourself, is this praise directed at my true self, or at the benefit I provide? Real praise sets you free. Fake praise controls you. There's a thin line between sincere appreciation and emotional flattery, and recognizing it takes inner strength. When people want you to follow their ideas without overt pressure, they often offer advice like, "You should do this properly so everything goes right." On the surface, this sounds like encouragement, but underneath it's pressure disguised as care. The need for everything to go right creates a perfectionist standard, making you feel like your worth depends on things being flawless. This is often a manipulative tactic. It sends the message that you're only acceptable if you act in the right and perfect way. This way of thinking plants the fear of failure in you and makes you afraid of making mistakes. But don't forget, real life doesn't work that way. No one can do everything perfectly. Sometimes making a few mistakes is how you gain experience, learn, and grow. When you're constantly chasing perfection, being too hard on yourself can actually become the biggest obstacle to your progress. When someone tells you, "Just make sure everything goes perfectly," they're often placing a hidden limit on you, as if perfection were the only acceptable outcome. But perfection doesn't exist. Only constant growth does. Every mistake, every failure is a lesson and a step on your path. Do you have to be perfect? No. You just have to be yourself. You must move forward according to your own goals, learning and growing with each step. Manipulation often happens so subtly and quietly that it becomes hard to resist. But once you start recognizing the signs, you gain the power to break the manipulator's game. They try to convince you that losing your strength, pushing your boundaries is somehow normal. But they forget, you are the one in control of your life. Who you allow to influence your life is a choice that belongs to you and you alone. No one can cross your boundaries or break your rules unless you allow it. Take your power back. Don't focus on how others affect you. Decide who you want to influence and how. Manipulation waits patiently for the moments when you're ready to say yes. But you can reclaim those moments and reshape them with your own strength. Start protecting your boundaries. Don't just live by others' expectations. Live according to your inner goals and values. Stand up against manipulation, because every decision, every choice belongs to you. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share your thoughts in the comments. See you again soon.